The Royal Rumble is January 24th, and we have a big change in the Royal Rumble match. For the first time, well, technically not for the first time ever. Let me explain that for a second. Back in 1992, well, technically the end of 91 into 92, Undertaker and Hulk Hogan had a match for the WWF at the time WWF Championship, and it was a rematch of Survivor Series where Undertaker won with the help of Ric Flair and a tombstone, probably the safest tombstone I've ever seen in my life, on the steel chair, and he won the title. The rematch was a week later at Tuesday in Texas, a pay-per-view that has never happened again, with the exception of maybe Taboo Tuesday or Cyber Sunday or whatever they want to call it now. With that being said, Hogan won with very. It's weird looking back in time because Hogan was a face but wasn't booked like one, to the point where he took the ashes out of the urn, threw him in the face of the Undertaker, and won the title back. It was very weird to see Hogan cheat that way at that time. If you look at his earlier stuff, it wasn't that big of a deal, because he came in as a heel back in the day when Vince Sr. had it. But just the Hogan we know, probably now, probably would make sense for that to happen. But back then in '91, it was unthinkable for Hogan to fucking cheat, even though he probably did on the house shows every week anyway. But the fact remains, at that point, the title was vacated. And for the first time, the man, myth, and legend, probably not the first time for the man, myth, legend on his vacant held the title at that point. Into '92, where the Royal Rumble had the then WWF Championship at the time on the line in a Royal Rumble match. Except this time, unlike that time, where a lot of people say that '92 Rumble is the best Rumble of all time, and I honestly agree with that for sure. The Flair Rumble, as people call it as well, it was just great. But for the first time, the Royal Rumble, the title is defended in the Royal Rumble match. And that only means one thing. Roman Reigns, again, for the third year in a row, is in the Royal Rumble match. I think the only people talked about last time was Big Show, and like I said before, if Big Show is number one like he proclaimed a couple weeks ago, he probably wins it. But it's for the title now, so you have to look at it differently. You have to look at who has the potential to become the world champion. Because basically, at this point, there is no number one contender at WrestleMania unless Reigns loses. So he would automatically have his rematch, I guess. But you basically go in as champion, which is unheard of. Well, let me rephrase that. It's unheard of to win the Rumble, become the champion, and walk in as champion and walk out. The difference with that is Ric Flair won the title in '92. He lost it to Savage at WrestleMania, which was a great match nonetheless, with the storyline of Liz and the pictorials and whatever. It was great. But this is different. This is basically, if you win this match, you don't have to worry about going to WrestleMania because you're the champion. You automatically go to WrestleMania unless you lose it at Fastlane or something, or a house show or whatever. But basically, you go to WrestleMania regardless. You're the champion. So, normally, in a Royal Rumble, we would be like, okay, who could win this, who could not? But now it is, who could be the champion, and who could not? Obviously, Big Show will not be the champion. I mean, unless they want to swerve us and do that, I doubt they will, but, yeah. Let's go down this list so far to see who could actually be the champion. First off, Chris Jericho made his return on Raw, and he interrupted the New Day. It was great for what it was. It was just weird because for what Jericho has been used for the past few years, for Fandango, for Bray Wyatt, for Dolph Ziggler. And all of those runs with Jericho ended up in a burial of some way, shape, or form. or at least just never heard from him again at that point. I mean, you get the win on Jericho, but what happens? That nothing happens after that. So the New Day and Jericho is really weird to begin with. The New Day aren't on here yet, but we'll get to them eventually down the line. But with that being said, Jericho has been in the Rumble for the past few years as a surprise entrant almost all the time. So will he win the title? I honestly doubt it. But at this point, he is probably one of the bigger names in this match that could probably win the title. But I don't know. I really don't know. Next up, we have the entire Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman. Now, the interesting part is the Wyatt family, again, could work together in this match, and one of the four of them could potentially be the champion. But who would that be? Obviously, Eric Rowan, I doubt they'll ever give him the world title. I mean, maybe down the line, once he's built up properly, maybe. But this time, I doubt it. The same goes for Luke Harper, even though Harper is a former Intercontinental Champion, so the only way to go up is to win the world title. I doubt they'll do that with him. There's two people in that list that remain that I feel could be potentially the world champion. First of all, Bray Wyatt is long overdue for a world title run, and if this was the event to do it, after all the shit he's had with John Cena and Sting in the past, actually no, it was Undertaker, with Undertaker and Cena, and potentially Sting this year. That could be an interesting match for sure. But if anything, Bray Wyatt deserves this. He's deserved this since day one of his revival. Ever since from going from the tank with the Ferrari engine to the Eater of Worlds, the man deserves it. But at the same time, you have a monster of a man, a mountain of a man like Braun Strowman. A man who is probably bigger than Big Show. If I remember on Raw, looking at them, he looked bigger than the Big Show, which really says something. Probably bigger than Khali if Khali came back too, but you have to come back to see if that would be accurate. But Braun Strowman could be the dark horse in this match to win the title, for sure. Next up, we have Dolph Ziggler. He lost to Heath Slater and the Social Outcasts, or whatever they're called, with Adam Rose, Bo Dallas, Slater, and who was Axelmania. Yeah. So, I doubt he'll win the title. He's a former world champion. He could do it. But will they put the belt on him? I doubt it. Next up, the big guy, Ryback. Same thing here. They could have done it years ago. They're not going to do it now. The Big Show already went through. And finally, the man who has not been eliminated for over a year in the Royal Rumble. He has been in the Royal Rumble for over a year. Axel fucking Mania could run wild and become the world champion. I honestly feel this could happen. I honestly feel Axelmania could run wild. It did for a while, but a certain Hogan ended that with his racial comments. So this could be the moment of the genesis, of the moment of the beginning of Axelmania that we have been wanting to see for a very long time. And yes, I did that intentionally. If you don't remember that, I don't blame you. But regardless, the Royal Rumble. Oh, finally. Oh, yeah, I completely forgot fucking Roman Reigns. Basically, there's going to be a new champion. It's going to be that simple. Because if they give him the win in the Rumble, it's going to be the same result as last year. Booed out of the fucking building. So I am guaranteeing a new world champion. And that is what the Royal Rumble is all about.